This is my Autocraft Season 3 starter base. And if I'm allowed to say so myself, I think it looks pretty darn good. But of course this isn't the first starter base that I've ever made. I have made a few more that, let's face it, didn't look so good. And since I feel like I've grown as a builder, we're here in a creative world and we're going to try to improve on our previous designs. This right here is the first starter base we're going to be reworking. This was our Timecraft base, the very first SMP season that we did on this channel. So interestingly, this isn't even the worst one in there. To be fair, this starter base also took me multiple videos to make, but that was also back in the time that I actually, had time. Now I feel like what's going to be hardest here is to keep it as a starter base. Like I could just make like a huge temple, but of course that's gonna look better. I want to have a starter base temple that looks better than the temple I had on Timecraft. Let's just first start off with going very high into the sky. I still want this to be a floating island. Now the thing I did previously was the whole temple consisted out of 5 circles, 5 like dome temple-y thingies. I don't think we need that. Huge advantage for this video over just a survival starter base. I have willed at it. This is going to take a lot less time. I am probably already slightly bending the rules on what is considered a starter base size. Especially since this isn't going to be the main structure of the building, but oh well. Alright, starting to feel quite temple-y. I'm slightly afraid that it's going to look very, very wide though. And maybe I need to place it higher up in the world, but I've got wood added for that. So I'm building the roof, and I honestly I'm starting to think that just using stairs is going to make it too peaky, but that's... yeah, that needs to be flatter. Slabs? Maybe we should use slabs. Here's an interesting question I haven't thought of. Am I allowed to use blocks that weren't in the game when I originally built it? I'm gonna say yes. I'm gonna say that we are allowed to do that. Whether that's the right call though, that's a whole different question. Okay, I think that finishes the main structure. Now let's actually do some cylinders and domes to the side. Now I'm not sure how this will look. This might actually be absolutely awful. But one way to find out. I'm starting to slowly come to the realization how much work this is to copy over 4 times. Because it slightly cuts into this corner. Oh well, this is the wrong type of quartz. I can't even start to stress how annoying it was to make this stupid dome. Good enough for pasting reasons, I suppose. Okay, it looks interesting. It definitely needs some cleaning up. It needs the islands. I would still call this a starter base. Not just because that means that I don't have to start over. It is part of the reason though. Just like in the original design, there's going to be a water elevator here. Now I've got a very big advantage. Last time we did it using glass panes to make sure that the water doesn't flow. This time around we've got light sources, which means that if I do this, they're all sources and they don't flow out, which is amazing. Now that all the leaves are done, it's actually starting to look quite cool in my opinion. The one thing we still need, however, is the terrain below it. Which might be a bit difficult. I could go ahead and like manually build it, but I'm trying to think if there's a way that we can just sort of clone the terrain from under it and just paste it there. I think I might have an idea, but it's not as great as what I was hoping to do. Let's be fully honest, this is one of those things you should do after you make a backup. Because if I ruin stuff now, I'm kind of screwed. It kind of looks like a flying pig. Am I the only one who sees that? I might be the only one who sees that. Okay, now it's time to clean some stuff up. Yeah, I really didn't do this very smart, did I? Okay, now it's time for the interesting part, which is replacing all of this pink wool with the ground. I'm not sure if it can do the thing that I wanted to do here. That might be slightly problematic. Aha! Okay. No. Not what I wanted. Okay, so what I wanted to do I don't think is actually possible. So what we're gonna do is just use a good old brush and just replace all of this. Actually, no, let's just use commands. And that, I think, would do it. I'm actually quite happy with it. I'm not sure if it is as good as I could get it. However, keep in mind, I have to do 3 of these. This first one took me 1 hour and 40 minutes. Like, that's, I've been working on this non-stop. 1 hour, 40 minutes, and oh boy. You know what, let's revise all of our starter bases. That's gonna be a quick and fun video. It's not even counting editing and stuff. And yes, I'm realizing that me complaining about the time I'm spending is time that I'm spending more on it, as well as time that I'm gonna have to edit soon. Future Rusty, I do apologize. Anyways, here's what it looked like with shaders. Here's the second base we're gonna have to recreate. This was our Autocraft Season 1 base. For some reason I thought it'd be a good idea to make a dirt hut. Which means that now we're gonna have to improve on a dirt hut with a better dirt hut. I'm slightly concerned, I'm not gonna lie. I'm not quite sure if this one's gonna be easier or if this one's gonna be harder. But let's just try. I think it has the advantage that it's meant to look simple, but also I'm not really sure what I would improve on it. It's a dirt house. I always do that. I think this is another one of those cases where we're lucky because we now have mud. Because I would consider mud to be some sort of dirt, so we can use it without it being too much out of place. A little chimney always helps. I know for the last one I didn't really do an interior, however it's a dirt hut. I think the interior is the only thing we really have going for us here. I think I got the majority of the insides done. I think it needs something, because at the moment it's spherical, so I'm using these dirt pillars to sort of tie stuff together. I'm not sure. So I was thinking about what to do with the entrance, and honestly, I feel like it should just feel like a hole. Like it's sort of not meant to be that type of hole. Which means if I'm going sort of organic, I should make the rest of this also look organic. That's gonna take work. The organic shape kind of works. I'm still not a huge fan of it, and I think it's because all of this is grass. Now I would use some alternative blocks, but if I use, you know, regular dirt, they'll overgrow. Might have to figure something out there. I mean, I wouldn't choose to live here. I think we can be very certain about that. It's not like you wouldn't want to live here. It's more of a I have to live here situation. I think the gravel helps with a bit of distinguishing between what's path and what's just a bunch of dirt. To tie this area up together, because I think for the main body it's kind of done. Though it's, of course, it's ugly, but it's, you know, it's not meant to be the prettiest thing in the world. I think we're gonna need some custom trees, or at least a custom tree. I'm kind of wondering how many I need before it looks awful again. I think I'm just gonna go for one. I think I'm gonna go for one, like, big custom tree here. Weirdly, custom trees, not very bad at them. I don't mind making custom trees. I'm awful at organics, but yeah, no, custom trees, they don't form a problem for me. Now watch me say that and make the worst custom tree ever. I think it kind of happened. I think I kind of made a... it's not too bad. It isn't the prettiest custom tree I've built, but honestly, I think it's fine. Which means that this would be our final result. I'm gonna say it's better than the Season 1 starter base I made. That comes with a little bit of a question mark. To be fair, shaders makes everything better. Like, that doesn't necessarily mean that this is a good build, it's just I'm using shaders, that's all. This right here is the last base we're going to try to recreate and to improve. This was our Season 2 starter base. It wasn't bad, but I've never really liked it. It was meant to be like Deep Slate Ruins. I think we could make it a little bit more impressive. Now that one is gonna be slightly difficult, because I know I can improve on it, but it was so recent. It's probably the best out of the ones that I've made. I don't know, the temple was okay, but yeah, this is gonna be a hard one to improve on. Of course, I want to keep the idea the same. So let's start off with the hole in the ground, and then we'll just build the runes around it. Yes, I picked the most optimal spot. That's gonna be frustrating. It's the walls of the hole constructed. It's right next to water as well. This is gonna be awful. I really don't know how I'm gonna do this. I think my tactic this time for making a rune is to not actually start off making a rune. I'm gonna start off making a build, and then I'm just going to add holes to an existing build. Also, since it's gonna have holes, the build doesn't have to be very pretty, which definitely will help me. It might actually not look like much right now, but I'm pretty sure that there is a type of brush that's gonna help me out here. This should be a gravity brush. I don't like that. This was the brush I was looking for. It's a smooth brush, not a gravity brush. At the moment it isn't very clear what it does. At the moment it looks like I'm deleting blocks, which pretty much for now I am. But what it does is it brings up the terrain to match what I'm building. I'm struggling with this one, I'm not gonna lie. You know what? Sometimes you've got something in your head that you just completely need to scrap. Otherwise you mess up. Okay, let's just try to make runes by hand. I'm sort of at the point where it was, as in sort of the level it looked when I was on the server. That's exterior. Like, we're gonna do somewhat of an interior. This is a difficult one to improve upon. Not because it was such a good build, just because it is such a very bad idea. Poof. And maybe do another one? There we go, that is quite a lot of variation. Now this is one of those annoying chunks that if you're over here you suddenly can't see anything, but I'm not gonna deal with that. Next off, let's make sort of the spiraling staircase that goes down. Now, unlike the actual version that we built on Autocraft Season 2, we're actually going to make this out of woods. But before we make it out of woods, let's actually make it out of wool, so we can just do some world edit magic to randomize the blocks a bit more. And there's a spiral staircase laid out with the wool. Now, let's see if we can make this look somewhat decent. Alright, and poof. That works remarkably well. We are going to add a little bit more oak. So let's change all of these 50s into 40s. There we go. Adding in a little bit of support on the sides. Now you might have the question, how will you ever get in and out of your base if your staircase is broken? Yeah, I don't know. I'm not gonna fix it. Now let's actually make this somewhat usable. Of course, in the actual base there were all of these tunnels breaching out of this area. I'm not gonna do that. I'm just going to add utility right here at the bottom. Mainly that is going to be barrels and maybe some furnaces. Now the last little thing I'm actually gonna do is, in some spots I'm gonna add in a few candles. And these candles are gonna be lit. Now, the reason I do this is I want to make this feel like this was ruined, but someone is using it. I was thinking about maybe fixing this regardless. Hold up. It's kind of about if I can make this work. So let's say this was the original bridge, but in the spots where it sort of burned down, we add in... Yeah, no, that doesn't really work. We're adding in these candles to make it look like it was abandoned, but someone started using it again. I also added in some rubble in the water to make it look like stuff fell into there. So that is all overgrown and stuff. Same thing on the other side. I'll be fully honest. Of all of the redos I did today, this one is my least favorite one. Honestly, if you look at it, it kind of just looks like the starter base I made on Autocraft Season 2. I think it's better. Let me get this straight. I think it's better than the one I made on Autocraft Season 2. It's just not that much better. But regardless, here is what it looks like with the shaders. What's going on there? Now here's my question for you guys. Do you guys think that I improved building? Do you guys prefer these versions or do you guys prefer the older versions? Please tell me. I want to know if I did good. Anyways, goodbye.